Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Final Take. I'm Curtis Round, and joining me tonight are Marty Kaufman and Nathan Hansen. Marty, we'll start with you. Did you enjoy Halloween?
Yeah, I didn't spend it with you this year, so it was pretty good.
Wow.
Cute. Mine was pretty good. I watched a few Saw movies, so I really got the Halloween tradition going.
Yeah, it was all right. I dressed up. What did you dress up as, Marty? You still Marty McFly?
I went again as Marty McFly. I found the costume at home. I wasn't here in town, so it worked, and people actually got my costume this year, unlike last year where people kept asking me who I was. So I think it worked out well with Back to the Future Day like a week prior.
Well, tonight we will cover the latest in Pointers athletics along with college football, NASCAR's chase for the Sprint Cup, the Milwaukee Bucks, the World Series, and the Week 8 in the NFL. We begin tonight with Pointer football. The Pointers picked up their fourth win of the season with a convincing 31-3 win over La Crosse. Ryan Swigart and Cooper Kerner switched off at the quarterback position, with Kerner throwing for 162 yards with a touchdown and no interceptions. Swigart also threw a touchdown pass at Jared Panko, although he was intercepted twice. Matt Szynski led the Pointers in receiving with 148 yards and a touchdown and a sick one-handed grab. DeJuan Wright led the way on the ground with 81 yards and a touchdown, and Darren Ward also had 57 yards and a touchdown. Marty, we'll start with you. What did you see from these young quarterbacks?
Oh, well, they got throws in the end zone, so they got their touchdown passes out of the way. I mean, 2 interceptions. I mean, it's gonna be up and down with these guys playing. They're young. They're new to the game, or like they're new to this level of the play. But throwing a couple touchdown passes doesn't hurt.
Yeah, they look kind of rough, but I mean, it's difficult when you're in one drive and then out the next. It's kind of hard to really get a rhythm going, so I thought that kind of hurt them.
And it showed, too. Only Szynski and Pankow were the only 2 pointers to catch a ball. They were the only 2 receivers, so I mean, that you can't really – it's surprising that a team can win 31-3 with only 2 guys catching the ball.
Yeah, where's Logan Taylor? I really like that guy. I don't know where he was on the field that day. Defensively, the Pointers dominated. They held the Eagles to only 143 total yards, including just 17 rushing yards on 38 attempts. Aaron Carlin was behind the line of scrimmage all day, finishing with 12 tackles, 10 solo, along with 4 sacks, 7.5 tackles for loss, and a forced fumble. Was this a type of defense you've been expecting all year from the Pointers?
I think we expected it because last year this is how they won games. But Aaron Carlin, that's a monster day. I don't think you see many guys putting up those kind of numbers in any level of football, really. Like, you have 12 tackles, 10 solos, 7.5 are for loss, and 4 sacks and 4 fumble. He was unblockable on Saturday, and it showed that. But going back to your first question, we expected this because that's how they won last year. They had so many playmakers. They lost some guys at graduation, but this is probably their best defensive performance of the season.
Yeah, early on in the season, Aaron Carlin kind of struggled. We didn't see a whole lot from him. We expected a lot, him being a preseason All-American. So he really came out there on Saturday night with a vengeance, and I was calling for radio, and I said his name probably about 30 times the whole day. He was just everywhere in the offensive backfield, So he was doing it all for the Pointers, but I think we expected the defense to kind of control the game and really dictate how the offense performed for the other team, and this was one of the first games that we really saw that happen.
Yeah, the Pointers hit the road this weekend when they visit Stout for a 2 p.m. kickoff. Do the Pointers beat another conference foe here?
Yeah, they're one of the teams in the middle of the pack. They've struggled against the better teams, but they can handle the teams at the bottom of the standings.
I'm not so sure. I think it really depends on who's playing from quarterback position. I don't think they can really go too stout and win without a proven quarterback. I mean, the game on Saturday, the conditions were better for running anyway, so they didn't throw the ball a whole lot. I think they'll have to throw the ball on Saturday, and it might hurt them.
Well, let's move on to volleyball now. The Pointers volleyball team finished the regular season strong with a dominating sweep over Stout and River Falls this past weekend, as the Pointers won each game with a balanced attack. With the Pointers starting to play some of their better volleyball, are they a threat to win the WIAC tournament as a 5th seed this year?
I think so. I mean, I think they go to Eau Claire, right? Eau Claire drawing point as a 5th seed, that's not what they wanted. Point has the capabilities of it. We've seen it the last couple of years. They have the capabilities of making a run. They've struggled in conference this year due to injuries. I think they're getting healthy again. So I think they have a chance to run. They're not going to have to face some of the stiff competition probably till the end.
I think if they would have drawn Eau Claire, they'd have a good chance. But Eau Claire is a great team in this conference, and Although the last time the Pointers played Eau Claire, they weren't healthy. Pointers are healthy now, so I think it'll be a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, and if they win at Eau Claire, then they will play in the semifinals in Oshkosh. We'll take a quick break here, but when we return, we'll discuss Wisconsin Badgers football, the NASCAR's chase for the Sprint Cup, and the Milwaukee Bucks. Stay tuned.
Be a part of something super Greek at UWSP. There are 9 chapters and colonies on campus: Phi Sigma Phi, Gamma Phi Delta, Theta Xi, Sigma Delta Rho, Sigma Tau Gamma, Delta Phi Epsilon, Tau Kappa Epsilon, Phi Mu Alpha Sinfonia, and Phi Omega. Greek life at UWSP is a great way to build your personal support system and resume. With Greek life at UWSP, you won't just be a member, but a happy friend to the chapters and colonies for life. See what opportunities Greek life could offer you.
Great opportunity to promote leadership, a great way to get connections, and also to build bonds between different Greeks.
You get the opportunity to grow yourself as a leader and as a person, both through your organization and connections through Inter-Greek Council and other avenues like that.
Greek life isn't what you see in the movies. I recommend checking out one of the recruitment events for the organizations and just seeing maybe you belong there.
Busy student life? No problem. You can catch Final Take on the go in HD by following us on our website. Final Take, for anything Pointers, anything sports.
Don't let the snow and cold get you down this winter. The frozen tundra outside may keep you indoors, but here at SPTV, we'll still be getting you the best news, sports coverage, and entertainment that you need. Don't freeze your fingers and toes off to find out what's happening around campus. Stay warm, everyone.
Welcome back. The Wisconsin Badgers welcome Corey Clement back to the lineup as he ran for 150 yards and 3 touchdowns on just 11 carries as the Badger routed Rutgers at Camp Randall 48-10. With another strong defensive performance, the Badgers now lead the nation in scoring on defense. With Iowa still undefeated and the Badgers still just 1 game behind, they still have a chance to win the West.
They better hope Iowa loses 2 games coming up and the Badgers have to win out, because I think it comes down to a tiebreaker. Iowa still wins because they beat them head-to-head. I think the chances are very slim. Iowa's playing pretty well right now in the conference.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way, to be honest, because, I mean, the Badgers will probably win out. I think that's a possibility, but I don't see Iowa losing 2 games.
Well, the Badgers travel to Maryland this weekend with a kickoff at 2:30. What can we look forward to in this one?
I think what we saw this past weekend against Rutgers, I think the Badgers, they can probably go into Maryland and handle them pretty good, especially with Corey Clement back, running the ball, getting healthy.
Yeah, Maryland's really struggling this year, especially right now with their coach being fired and everything. So I think the Badgers will run all over Maryland.
Well, let's now go to the Motorsports Minute. Jeff Gordon punched his ticket to Homestead with a win at Martinsville after Matt Kenseth took the out race leader Joey Logano. Other Chase Brad Keselowski and Kurt Busch were also caught up in wrecks, meaning that they will probably need a win at either Texas or Phoenix to advance to the championship round. Should Kenseth be suspended for his actions against Joey Logano?
No, I don't think so. You gotta race hard to win it. He was racing hard to win.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, last week I think you said you got to cheat to win. You got to do a little bit of cheating, and I think in NASCAR especially, it's awesome because you can always get away with it because you can just say mechanical problems or something after you took a guy out. So I think it's good. But
I think it's the only thing I like about racing is watching these wrecks. I'm all for it.
As long as they're always safe and no one dies, it's fine. It's good for the sport.
You ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Well, the chase continues this Sunday as Texas Motorsports Speedway. Let's go on to the Milwaukee Bucks. They picked up their first win of the season on Monday night with a 103-96 victory over the Brooklyn Nets. The Bucks also expect to get Jabari Parker back this week from injury, but the strongest part of the team was supposed to be its defense, which has not been the case so far this season. How do you think this team can get back defensively?
I think they're about to get a little bit better now, healthy with Jabari Parker. He creates some wingspan there in the D. I mean, it's only been, 3 games? It's a long season to go. Season can go till June if they make it all the way to the final, so it's a long season. They can get this fixed.
Yeah, and the main thing is that this whole team was kind of rebuilt over this offseason, so they have a lot of guys that are new. Almost no guys have played with each other. John Henson, one of the few guys left from last year's roster, hasn't played since the first game of the year, so they're really lacking defensively when he's not in there. And Greg Monroe's defense, honestly, it might not be as good as Zaza Pachulia's defense last year. He was good on defensive end. But Jabari Parker coming back in rotation will really help, as well as John Henson getting healthy, and Grievous Vasquez has to play a lot better.
Yeah, and the Bucks, they started slow last year and ended up putting up 50 wins, so I wouldn't worry too much. Well, the Bucks season continues when they travel to New York to face the Knicks on Friday and then host Brooklyn on Saturday. We will be right back. When we return, then we'll talk the World Series and the NFL.
Got an itch to be on air? Join the SPTV News crew. Being an on and off-air reporter will help you gain experience in interviewing, shooting and editing video, and reporting behind the anchor desk. Join SPTV News, pointing to you.
My name is Jackie Lang. I graduated from UW-Stevens Point in 2013. I started off coming to general members meetings, showing up for the shows. From the first show that I was a part of, I just absolutely loved it. Now that I've graduated, I currently work at WFRV TV, which is Channel 5, the CBS affiliate in Green Bay. I also freelance for Lashbro Visual Communications. All of my experience, all of my knowledge came from SPTV, and I will forever be grateful to this organization for that.
Welcome back. After a 30-year wait, the Kansas City Royals are World Series champions. The Royals won in 5 games after coming from behind in 3 of their 4 wins, with Met closer Luis Familia blowing 3 saves. The Royals scored 51 of their 90 postseason runs in the 7th inning or later. Was Familia just that bad, or was the Royals that clutch, Marty?
I think the stats show 51 of their 90 runs scored in the 7th inning or later. That's more the Royals clutch than Familia bad. Familia was lights out up until this series, so I think the Royals were just that much better.
Yeah, Familia inherited a lot of bad situations from previous starting pitchers that he relieved. And he left a few bad pitchers up there, but the Royals really punished anyone. It didn't matter who the pitcher was.
And saying he had 3 blown saves is not really 3. He inherited Matt Harvey's runs in the last game.
I tell you what, guys, I don't care what anyone says. You might as well just wipe away the Royals logo and put the Brewers up there, because that's basically their team.
It's not their team. They made the smart move in trading Lorenzo Cain and Alcides Escobar to compete in 2011 for Zach Greinke.
You're not salty at all over any of those moves?
How can you be salty?
The team won a World Series and went last year, and it was pretty much the whole entire staff and players.
If the Brewers kept Alcides Escobar and Lorenzo Cain, do they win a World Series in this past 5 years?
Why not?
No.
How would they win?
Why not?
How would they win?
The players.
They still don't have the pitching.
They were not those type of players back in 2011. They don't go to the playoffs in 2011 with Alcides Escobar and Lorenzo Cain. Zach Greinke was a big part in that. He went undefeated at home in Miller Park in his 2 seasons in Milwaukee.
I don't agree.
What do you want? Prince Fielder left in free agency after that year.
How do you know he would have left? We can't predict anything now, but
it was pretty much a foregone conclusion. It was their last season to win with Prince Fielder in the lineup, and they did. They fell 2 games short of winning a World Series, so I don't know what you're complaining about. Cain and Escobar are pieces to the puzzle of this lineup. They're not the focal point.
But a lot of things else could have happened then with those guys on the team, with Yost too, as a staff.
Ned Yost is a different manager too than what he was in 2008, trying to get into a postseason.
Well, let's move on to the Mets. Their pitcher Matt Harvey was working on a complete game shutout in that game, and in the 9th inning, he had a couple of runs there, and the Royals came back to win the game. Were the Mets wrong to keep Harvey in the 9th?
No, I don't think so. It showed before he came out. He told Terry Collins, he goes, "You're not taking me out. This is my game." And you know what? I don't blame Terry Collins. You trust the instinct with your best pitcher. He's the money guy in this rotation. You go with him. He was rolling through 8 innings. Just didn't work. He couldn't make it to the 9th. So I think I have no problem with the Mets going with Matt Harvey in the 9th inning.
Yeah, and if Familia didn't have those blown saves earlier in the series, I think the decision to pull Harvey is a little easier. But I mean, if you have a pitcher like that that's ready to go out in the 9th inning, who verbally says he's ready, who's yelling that he's ready, you got to let him go back out. I think he's your best pitcher too, so I don't think it mattered who they would have put in.
I think it's a bad call. You lost the game, and he struggled a little bit in the ninth. It's a chess game in baseball, and I think they just played one more piece that they shouldn't have. And that's just my opinion.
He dominated for 8 innings. He had him pretty much locked down.
But sometimes you got to beat those guys before it leads to what it led to. After losing in the World Series last year and winning it all, can the Royals keep it up with this continued success?
They probably are the favorites to win their division. I think it depends on how the postseason goes and what injuries happen and who they lose in free agency or what trades they make. I mean, baseball is a sport where it's hard to repeat.
Yeah, you're right, but I think that Royals team, I mean, this year their pitching was worse than it was last year. I mean, they lost James Shields, and they acquired Cueto just at the deadline, so up until then they were still doing good, and I think just to win the World Series without a solid pitching rotation like they had last year, it says a lot for this team. I think they'll be all right moving forward.
Well, let's switch gears now to the NFL, where we're going to go rapid fire, where we will briefly recap some of the NFL top games from this weekend. On Thursday night, the Patriots dominated the Dolphins 36-7.
Patriots are the best team in the NFL, hands down. They can beat anybody any given day, it seems like, and there's no stopping them.
Well, I mean, Man Campbell over there, the head coach of the Dolphins, needs to take his seat a little bit. I mean, you're not as good as the Patriots yet, but give it time. They might be all right.
I'm shocked they didn't do any moves right before the trade deadline. They have some key pieces there, maybe get some draft picks. But yeah, I definitely agree with you. The Patriots right now, Tom Brady is just outstanding. Well, the Vikings beat the Bears 23-20 in the NFC North battle.
That offense is very shaky for Minnesota right now, especially with Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback. They're lucky they came out of Chicago with a win. It seems like their defense pretty stout, but that offense has got some kinks to work out.
Yeah, the Bears pretty much gave the game away. They were leading almost all game, but then unfortunately Matt Forte went down for them, so we'll see what his status is moving forward.
Tell you what, watch out for the Vikings. So last year they lost all these close games by 7 points or fewer, and they could never win these close ones. And this year they're winning those close games. So watch out for them. I'm not going to say they're going to take over that NFC North, but they're a team to watch for.
Look out for their schedule, though. They got St. Louis, Oakland, and Green Bay coming up, and they got to play Green Bay again at Lambeau at the end of the year. They still got to play, I think, Seattle. They got to play some teams now. I think their easy part of their schedule's over, and they got to start playing some teams, and it's going to come down to Teddy Bridgewater, I think, at quarterback.
Well, we had a shocker with the Buccaneers and Falcons as the Bucks beat the Falcons in overtime 23-20.
Atlanta's falling out of it right now. You should not lose 2 division games like the way they did, especially, losing to Tampa Bay at home. I think I messaged you during that game. I was like, look, Atlanta's going to come back, and sure enough, they did. They just couldn't pull it out. And the Buccaneers, they're kind of hanging in that NFC. Those last couple spots, after the Vikings, there's a couple teams fight maybe for a wild card spot if one of those teams get hot.
Well, the Falcons, you never know what you're going to get from them week in and week out. Their defense has been inconsistent the whole year, and sometimes Matt Ryan's shown up, sometimes he hasn't, and now if Devontae Freeman isn't as hot as he was a couple weeks ago, I think they're really going to be in trouble.
And I might be biased because I'm a Panthers fan, but I wasn't sold on the Falcons 5-0 or 6-0 start. This team was very inconsistent last year. Their defense always struggled, and I think it's picking up them, and people are finally seeing the true colors of that Falcons. It was kind of a honeymoon stage there for their new coach with them. And I don't take them too lightly, but it's the next team we're going to talk about.
Matt Ryan has slowly digressed his game right now, if that's a word. He's not playing at the level he probably should be right now.
Just ask my fantasy team.
Yeah.
Well, moving on, a hot team right now. The Saints outscoring the Giants 52-49. I don't think there was a defense on the field in that game.
Boy, that's a big win for the Saints to keep pace in the NFC. They could make a run in the NFC South still. You never know. That's a bad loss for the Giants. That's a team that should be running away with the NFC East right now, and they are keeping Dallas in it, who are getting Tony Romo back in the next couple of weeks, and they're keeping Philadelphia and Washington. That's a loss the Giants should have not have lost.
I think that's still a positive game that the Giants played. Obviously their defense wasn't there, but their defense has been there early on in the year, so I'm not worried about that. I think when you look at the Giants, what you look for is the offense. The offense has always been inconsistent the past couple of years with Eli Manning at the quarterback. And now he throws 6 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's a good sign if you're a Giants fan, I think.
I think this is the exact same story that happened in the NFC North a couple years ago. When Aaron Rodgers went out with that broken collarbone, the Lions, they had the division, they had chances to take over, and they just never would. And I think this is the same old story for this Cowboys team. The Giants have all these opportunities to play with the division. They're just keeping the Cowboys in and in until Tony Romo comes back.
And they're keeping Philadelphia. And Philadelphia, if they can get their problems solved, they can take that division probably easily.
Well, the undefeated Bengals topped the Steelers 16-10.
Big win for the Bengals. They pull away a little bit in that AFC North. Losing Le'Veon Bell for the year is going to hurt the Steelers, but I think with DeAngelo Williams, he seems to be a pretty good fit in this offense where I think they can make a run at a wild card still. The Bengals, they're still, I don't think they're not quite, they're getting slowly there to being one of those premier teams in the AFC, but I like to see them play maybe the Patriots or someone else and play maybe play the Steelers one more time.
Yeah, the Bengals didn't look all that great. I mean, I think they were lucky that Ben Roethlisberger, this was his first week coming back after that knee injury. Ben Roethlisberger did not look at himself. The first drive was really his only good drive of the game, and after that they looked horrible.
Well, the Seahawks held off the Cowboys 13-12.
Seahawks are still in it. I mean, they barely won some games, and they're hanging in there, which I think is a bad sign for the rest of the NFC right now. The Seahawks could easily only have like 2 wins this year, but they're pulling it out, so look out.
I think the Seahawks should have dominated that game. I honestly think they're out of it. They played horrible. You beat Matt Castle by 1 point. Congratulations.
Well, quick take here. The Ravens beat the Chargers 29-26.
2 teams that probably should have better records.
Enough said. All right, here we go.
The same game they've played all year, close games.
You're waiting to get to this one.
Well, the Broncos took care of the Packers 29-10 on Sunday night, excuse me.
Probably one of the worst performances of the McCarthy-era Packers. They came out flat. I don't think I've ever seen them come out that flat in a big-time game like that. Also, too, what I've noticed looking back into stuff, they, on the road in prime time under McCarthy, they don't play well. They've lost games at New York to the Giants. They lost in Minnesota, Chicago a couple times. They've lost in New Orleans. I think the last time they won a game on the road on primetime was in 2013 at Minnesota against Christian Ponder. So them in primetime is not good, but if they need to come out a lot better this upcoming week, and we'll get to that.
Yeah, I think the injuries played a huge role. I mean, Sam Shields lit out in the first drive of the game. Quentin Rollins, who stepped in for Sam Shields, then got hurt. Casey Hayward was playing the outside against a number 1 receiver, and all he does is play in the slot, and he got burned, so it really hurt him.
And we want to talk about
the offensive line also looked horrible.
We're talking about how bad the Packers were. The Broncos were really good Sunday night. That team, that defense is for real. I don't think anybody expected that defense to come out flying like that and shut them down. And Peyton Manning probably played his best. Obviously, he played his best game of the year too. And I think this is a big momentum boost for Denver moving forward.
Yeah, I think we saw finally the Peyton Manning from 2 years ago where he was
wasn't throwing ducks.
Yeah, he was throwing darts. But I definitely think that secondary, those injuries for the Packers in that game, that really hurt them because you can't have rookies covering Demaryius Thomas and those top guys. I mean, they're good when they're number 2 receivers.
Casey Hayward's not an outside corner.
Absolutely not.
No, Demarius Randall, I think, did a better job on the outside than Casey Hayward did. Just that the Broncos were just clicking on all cylinders in that game.
Well, Monday night, the Panthers held on against the Colts in an overtime game, 29-26.
Boy, I'll tell you what, I think the Panthers are very lucky they got away with that one because they had no momentum going into that overtime period. And the Colts, they're a mess. I mean, they showed resiliency coming back, but they should have probably pulled that win out in overtime.
Yeah, that was an ugly game. I mean, the weather basically capped it off with how ugly it was played. I mean, the Panthers really snuck out of it. They had a lot of turnovers in the game, and Andrew Luck came alive in the fourth quarter. It looked pretty bad the rest of the game.
He missed some throws, though.
He did. He missed a lot early.
He's missing a lot of throws that you don't think Andrew Luck would miss, and that's the thing. Andrew Luck's not making the throws. The rib injury might be a factor.
Yeah, I think there's an injury there that's apparent. Some of those throws yesterday were god-awful, nowhere near their receivers.
He had guys open.
I think 2 interceptions were just right to the guys or just overthrown balls. But the collapse of this Panthers defense in the fourth quarter just blew my mind because they got so tired. There was no pass rush. They had to blitz almost every play, and that's where you saw Andrew Luck just tear them apart. I think they need to get these guys back quick because it's not going to look pretty when they're facing Green Bay and you're going to have to blitz every play on Aaron Rodgers because that's not going to work. Well, let's move on to that game. This weekend, the Panthers host the Packers, and this is clearly a showdown. 2 Packers fans and Panthers fans. Let's go.
I think Carolina, if they want to do it, they were throwing a lot of blitzes last night at Andrew Luck, and that's what Denver did to Green Bay. They got to make sure those corners lock down those receivers because right now the Packers' problem is they can't get open. They want to try these long developing routes, and everyone's talking about how they got to switch the scheme, but the coaches are stubborn about not switching their schemes and trusting the wide receivers to get open. But if you noticed last night, the Colts were running a lot of bunch formations to get those wide receivers open and throw some dink and dunk passes over the middle, which the Packers kind of need to do. They also need to get the run going. They have not been able to do that, and especially on this Panthers defense, they have to. I think going into this, the Packer defense is a little bit better personnel-wise than last year's team that shut down Cam Newton. Here's some stats for you. Cam Newton in 2 games, he's 2 touchdowns and 4 interceptions against Green Bay. He's only had 94 rushing yards against them, but I think he's running a lot better too this year as a quarterback, so he's a big focal point of their offense. And I think to shut down Carolina, you got to stop Greg Olsen. Tight ends have been an issue for covering for Green Bay, and that's a problem. But you got to make Cam Newton beat you with other receivers. He's last in the league in completion percentage with 54.2%, and he's underthrown or overthrown at least 23% of his passes, which is the third highest, and the team is top 5 in drops. So I think you shut down Greg Olsen, make Cam throw to the other guys. That's a recipe for success on defense.
Yeah, the Packers, they really need to get their offense line. I mean, the offense line just looked horrible in last game. Rodgers could only throw for 77 yards. He couldn't escape the pocket because the pocket was collapsing from all sides. So that was a problem. But I think when you look at it, the Panthers are hurt on their defense line like we talked about, and I think that defense line is not as good as the Broncos that they faced this past weekend.
None of their personnel-wise, probably besides the linebackers, is as good as Denver's. Secondary, they have Josh Norman. I think you're going to see a lot of Aaron Rodgers staying away from him and picking on the other guys and picking them apart.
Yeah, you're going to see probably the Packers, and they don't like to do this, but they're going to do that almost Seattle, shy away from Richard Sherman kind of mentality of Josh Norman. You watched Norman yesterday. They completed, 2 passes the whole game to his side?
They can't go deep. If you saw, they can't go deep on him because yesterday Josh Norman was making a lot of plays covering deep balls, and I think, too, they're going to have to move Cobb in the slot a lot and move him over the middle. I don't think Carolina can have
One guy to watch out for that the Packers, I think, need to attack, and I'll admit it, is Ben Wickery. I mean, the guy last night was getting burned all over the field. He got some lucky tips there at the end versus Moncrief, but that's a guy to watch out for. And you brought up the rub plays and those rub routes crossing. I watched it yesterday. I think it was Luke Kuechly and Thomas Davis in the middle, and they ran a rub route, and the guy was wide open. Andrew Luck overthrew him, picked off. But if the Packers run those kind of plays, I think the Carolina's going to be in trouble in that situation. Because I thought of that, I'm like, ugh. Green Bay likes to run those routes, and it could get a little scary.
The key for Carolina is their defense has to play lights out because they're not going to keep up with Green Bay in a shootout. That offense, they don't have the firepower because it's Cam to Greg Olsen or Cam or Jonathan Stewart running the ball. You just have to rely on their defense to hold Green Bay like Denver did. And I think Green Bay, they haven't lost twice back-to-back with Rodgers and McCarthy since 2010.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
That's the thing. They have not lost back-to-back games since 2010 with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. So
yeah, and I think if the Packers don't establish that run game early or at all during the game, I think it's going to be a pretty close game.
It's going to probably be a close game. I think the Packers win by a touchdown, though. They equal now just because that Panther offense. I think Packers secondary, they'll be healthy. I think Sam Shields is going to play. They don't have enough wide receivers. For the Packers can probably get a couple picks on Cam if he overthrows or underthrows.
Yeah, and I haven't had enough time to talk. You guys have been stealing the show here a little bit. Let's go back to you throwing out all these garbage stats to me about Cam Newton. Let me talk. I gave you your time. It's my time now. You look at those numbers. Cam, there's no secret. He's been like that every year. So why are you throwing those numbers out to me? The guy, we know he's inconsistent. We know he overthrows. We know he has garbage receivers, but he's getting the job done with those guys, and that's the thing. This Panthers team's different. Okay, they get the job done now. Cam Newton has garbage receivers. It's no secret. We know Greg Olsen's number one target. Every team knows Greg Olsen's number one target, but they're still winning games that way. Cam Newton this year is a different quarterback when he played Green Bay last year and when he played Green Bay in his rookie year. So don't throw stats on me in the past years. It's a whole different team here.
I just don't think their offense is that. Their defense is the reason why they're in it.
Yeah,
their defense.
I'm not saying that, but let's not throw these inconsistent garbage out here. We already know that.
Their defense is the reason why. Their offense is a huge question mark going in every week, I think. Cam Newton, he'll make some good throws. For every good throw he makes, he'll make about 3 bad throws.
And that's fine with me. They're 7-0. I can't complain.
Yeah, you can't complain. They're finding ways to win. But
the Panthers will not face a defense all year like they have when they play the Packers.
And the thing is, too, the Packers,
it's a totally different team.
The thing that happened too on Sunday was
they played Seattle.
The thing that happened on Sunday was they didn't record a sack. They have to get pressure on Cam because then they'll get him flustered and then he'll start making the bad throws. They did that last year. They got to him early.
The thing about getting pressure on Cam, you got to watch out for. You saw it last night. The Colts sent almost everyone in the house, and Cam, I don't know how the hell he got out of there. They had sent 2 linebackers up to A gaps. And Cam got out for about a 10, 15-yard run on 3rd down. The thing the Packers are going to have to do is put Clay Matthews maybe on a spy or someone else or maybe Peppers, because if Clay Matthews gets outside and starts running, and just like Aaron Rodgers, both teams are going to be in trouble.
Packers probably get Nick Perry back this week. I think he'll add to that pass rush with Julius Peppers, Dayton Jones, and Mike Daniels, B.J. Raji. Those guys, they'll get in the backfield, I think, on this Panther.
Quick, what's your prediction? He said win by 7?
Packers by 10.
Oh, wow, 10. All right, I say Panthers win this one by a field goal. I don't know the score. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have time for today. We thank everyone for tuning in with us. I'd like to thank Marty Kaufman and Nathan Hansen for joining me with their insightful opinions on this debate desk. Big thanks to our technical staff and all their hard work to make this possible. Be sure to check us out on Facebook at SBTV UWSP Television or follow us on Twitter at SBTV UWSP. Also visit the UWSP homepage to locate all your Pointers athletics. Go Panthers this weekend, and just remember, fellow Pointers, here at Final Take, anything Pointers, anything sports.